Hello everyone, this is JPL, and today I'm joined with...
ToaLegend.
Yes, and this is going to be a part 3 on our discussion on Bionicle. And today, we'll be continuing where we left off when we're talking about the years of Bionicle. And now we're starting off with 2006, the beginning of the Ignition trilogy.
Woo.
Woot. So, yeah, let's just get started.
Alright, so 2006, they were coming off 2005. 2006, they really decide, okay, all of our Bionicle kids are grown up. We need Edge. We need it now.
And so they did.
Yeah, so all of their advertising is it's a very urban, like graffiti style almost, with like a lot of like chain link fences that are being broken. Yo-yo Paraka. So, they start out the year with good old, whatchamacallits, good old Paraka and good old Matoran. And this is the first year that we have villain sets that have different personalities and names. Crazy.
What? Unheard of.
Yeah. This is also the year that they had like a lot of like weird little guys. So this is the birth year of good guy and bad guy.
Yeah, I only heard of them recently within the past couple of years, but yeah, they're a thing.
Yeah. Apparently they were packaged with like batteries and stuff.
Yeah, that would have been nice to get one if only I was in the States.
Yeah.
Not overseas in a country that didn't sell them.
Indeed.
Yeah, 2006 started the year where I really got into Bionicle for the first time, which is fun.
Yeah.
What else can we say about this year? There was no movie for the first time, but we did get a snazzy game out of it.
We did. Very hype music.
Oh yeah.
I remember the website for that game was also very, very hype. I visited the website several times.
Yeah.
So I was really excited.
Checking out the different designs, the different weapons, getting the sneak peeks. Oh, it's around this time that the Lego games were also coming out with Lego Star Wars, Batman, and Indiana Jones. And they'd had the trailer for this game on those games. It was just so fun to just watch that every time. It was so cool. And then I finally got the game, played the first level, and I stopped and never touched it again. Because it was too difficult for me.
I feel that. And like the controls, I got it several years later, right? Like I didn't get it any time relative to when it came out, but I got it several years later for PC. Popped it into PC. I was like, I want to play on a controller. And I tried, and it was a terrible experience. So, yeah, I would like to maybe try it on a console, or maybe I'll do mouse and keyboard or something. I don't know. But there was a lot to be desired. But the marketing for it was on point, because I remember remembering it. For some reason, and I wonder why this was their stylistic choice. As far as the cover art, they chose Vizok and Kongu.
That is my favorite cover art for Bionicle.
Yeah.
It's the coolest looking thing.
It's so good, but definitely not what I would have expected.
Yeah, I think I had that cover art as my Facebook profile one time.
Yeah, that's fair.
Those are good times, yeah. The art, the funny art style, the music of this year it's one of the iconic ones.
Yeah.
You just gotta move along.
This is also one of the years like they've been using like, you know, grunge / like punk rock in their advertisements for a while now. But this year they had their whole Free the Band campaign where they had All American Rejects who did what's the name of the song? Oh, I know it.
Move Along?
Move Along. Yeah. And good times. So the year started off with a lot of, you know, it started off with the Paraka, which was weird. We'd never seen 6 villain sets that were individualized. Now, granted, they're still very similar. They still have pretty much the same design concept. You know, they've got unique weapon in one hand, blaster in the other.
Yeah.
They had a very unique design for really any set with their whole spines and maskless face.
With their teeth.
Mm-hmm. Their teeth.
Beautiful smiles that make a dentist happy.
Yeah, their teeth that glow in the dark and eyes that light up. Just a very, very cool idea. And then their weapons were interesting. Most of them were kind of like, okay. In fact, like most, I don't think are even used in other sets for the most part.
No, none.
Yeah, they were very hard to build with, and like the posability on the hands, because the hands don't articulate like normal wrists. They kind of like bend back on themselves.
Yeah.
Looks cool, but hard to pose with.
Yeah, because they had their special arms that was especially made for their weapons. That you can have your dual function. You get a claw or a spear.
Yeah.
Or a neat laser gun. Whatever.
Yeah. This is also the year that Bionicle really tried to start, I guess, making their build design more concise.
Yeah.
So previously they really relied on Technic. And that was kind of up until like 2003. And then they were like, okay, we'll do our own thing. And so they experimented for the next 2 years. And then 2006 hits and they're like, okay, we know what custom pieces we want that we can use on several characters down the road. And so the Paraka really started it with, I mean, a lot of their pieces. The chest piece, the like calf pieces, their feet are iconic for most villains. So all that stuff is very like this is where it got its origin, which is really cool. A lot of the armor too, forgot to say.
And then don't forget to mention we also the Matoran as well, which are slightly disappointing because they're almost small versions of the Toa Metru because they just have the same masks, but they make it up with the unique builds that they may have with them.
I think, if I'm honest, this is my favorite Matoran build because they're just so unique. And sure, they're small and they don't like, you know, they don't have cool chest plates or gear functionality, right? But they're roughly 21 to 25. Oh, sorry, 27 pieces with Pyrrhic. So they've got a decent amount of pieces, and just how they're put together is it's simple, but it looks pretty good, and you can pose it, and it's just kind of cute.
It's much better when you watch a Watadi video.
Yeah, it's one of those that I look at and I'm like, man, I wish that's what we could have gotten for the stars. That would be cool.
This build for the stars, I don't know. That's kind of small.
I would prefer it to what we got. If they wanted to go for little sets, could you imagine like a little Tahu like this? Ugh, so cute.
Right, yeah. So yeah, the Paraka were a very interesting and unique, very innovative at the time with how they were built.
Yeah. Also,
with
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
With their Xamarin spheres,
Yeah.
which are really cool guns that you could lose the balls all the time.
Absolutely, all the time. Yeah, this is the first set where we have, instead of spinners, we got launchers, which is a far more accurate type of gun thing that
And everyone has them.
Yeah, so it starts with, the Paraka, and they only have a slot for one, but I believe they come with 4, just the same as the Toa of the year.
I think they came with 2.
Oh, is it just 2?
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure. I
don't know.
Second
My brain don't remember way back when, but I know they at least had 2.
Okay. Well, that's good. That is better than just 1 for sure.
Or 0. They just give you the gun with no ammo.
That would suck. Yeah, so like the Ratoka spinners, you would lose. These, you would lose also.
Yes.
I'm trying to figure out if it's like more or less likely to lose, but like
they're smaller. They're rounder.
They're smaller. They roll. That's the big thing. But they do last longer. The Ratoka spinners will start to decay pretty quickly.
Yeah.
These will bounce off things. These are weapons to poke other people's eyes out.
You can kill a fool with them.
Yeah. And I think, if I'm honest, they're one of the projectiles that actually feel like they hit the hardest. The others...
Yeah. Until we get our Phantom Blasters.
Yeah.
But this one had the launching power of it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this was going across the room if you pointed it right.
Yeah, this one has strength.
And I will say accuracy compared to a Ratoka spinner, which is just going to fly in whatever direction it feels like.
Yes. Given air trajectory. But yeah.
Yeah.
Moving on from the Paraka, we then get our lovely 6 Heroes of Toa.
Woo.
Which ignited the Icarex build.
Yeah. So the Toa Icarex, our addition, as far as story goes, I think this is leading into my favorite part of the story, because it's a bunch of Matoran that are like, screw it, we're gonna be heroes too.
Mm-hmm.
And so they become heroes, and it's very, very cool.
And also, these are characters that we've known since they were little.
Yep, exactly. These are all characters that we have sets for in the first year or two, which is awesome. The downside is the Icarex build is the first of this kind of build, and because of that, so remember how I said the Matoran build is one of my favorites of like this year's Matoran build?
Yeah.
Because it had, more pieces and all that. Yeah, so the Icarex and the Paraka all have roughly like 40 to 50 pieces.
Mm-hmm.
With Toahuki being the most at 62 just because of his chain.
Yeah.
Which, granted, is still a decent amount of pieces, but when you're used to like more pieces that do things, I guess, and not just like pieces that they're literally just for armor, it is a little disappointing. Though it looks like 40 to 50 is actually about normal for...
Yeah. I mean, these were my favorite builds as a kid because they were simple, and I could do it from memory. Like,
True.
I didn't even need to look at an instruction manual sometimes when I got the sets. Like, oh, I know this build. I could just do it right away, and it was cool.
Yeah.
I can understand how people don't like him because it takes away the challenge of building these sets, but I don't know. I like the simplicity of it, and it's good for posing until age hits them.
Yeah. Very true. These ones are a little bit like, as far as their build, they're a little lanky, especially compared to what we're used to. They really did make sure that each character looked unique, at least in the colorization. So, for instance, Jowler's got a really cool translucent mix with a crimson mix with gold, which is a really cool design scheme. We have the introduction of multicolored pieces with I want to say Holly's the only one where her pieces are several colors, like a single piece is several colors.
No. We have Holly's feet and Kongu's feet. It's a mixture of colors.
Okay, yeah. So both of those, very interesting. I don't remember if they really do that too much after this, but I think cool pieces overall.
Yeah, they're cool.
And then, of course, we got the reintroduction of the Zamor Sphere launcher, this time with essentially a magazine to it, so it could hold up to 4 at a time, just not upside down.
Yeah.
Without modification, I should say.
There was nothing added to fix the losing the balls again.
Yeah. And then as far as their weapon goes, they did something very interesting with the weapon. In that this year, they made it light up. Which
that's so cool.
Yeah, it definitely made it so much bulkier. But at the same time, most of the weapons, I think, do look pretty cool.
Yeah.
They didn't they made it pretty uniform in the fact that everything is about the size of a sword, but all of them are different. So, Jowler and Motoro definitely have swords. But then there's like Holly that's got a harpoon, Huki that's got an axe, Kongu that's got a crossbow, and Nuparo that's got like a laser drill thing.
That could also serve as a sword.
Yeah. So, a lot of them were actually guns, which actually kind of fits with Kongu, now that I'm thinking about it. But it definitely looked cool, especially, with the Paraka having the light up eyes and the glow in the dark teeth. Now, to the biggest problem with the Icarex, in my opinion, is how they went about doing the heads and the masks.
They wanted to do something new and original. They did. Just, it was weird.
Yeah.
Cool for one time, but it's good that they didn't keep it going.
Yeah. I think the biggest advantage to what they did this year, because essentially what they did is they made a green fading to white shell that you then slip the squishy mask onto.
Yeah.
And the advantage to it is with the squishy mask, you didn't have to worry about the mouth as much, because with the masks previously, the mouth was the attaching point. This time, the characters could have their mouths free. So yeah, in reality, most of them that did have their mouths free kind of looked a little derpy, in my opinion. And I still can't look at Jowler the same way after the Chronicles of Jowler.
Oh, yeah. That design really helped sell that series.
Yeah. And I think probably the one that people are most frustrated with is Toa Holly, because, Holly is supposed to be a girl. This set does not look feminine whatsoever. And like, admittedly, previous sets don't really either, but they also don't necessarily look more feminine or masculine. This one very clearly has a mustache.
That you think. It's just tubes.
Yeah, but it definitely looks like a mustache.
Yeah, I getcha.
And a goatee. Like, it's, if I'm honest, if it was used for like swap it with someone else, like, that would be a really cool looking mask for like a gunner type character. But as far as it being Holly, like, I feel like they probably could have popped, like, I don't know, Jaller's mask, like switch those two, or Matoro's mask looks more feminine. In reality, a lot of these masks this year look pretty masculine. Maybe even Niparu's. Maybe. Just because, like, they have very, like, blocky designs. Or they have things that make it look like they have facial hair or whatnot.
Yeah, these are designs that are very clearly from this year.
Yeah.
They stand out, but they're from this year.
Yeah. And then also in this year, we've got a few Titan sets.
Oh, yeah, and these were the Titans start to really get good.
Yeah. So we've got the first Bionicle character with posable fingers. I think. Well, no, I guess that's not true. Sidorak, I think, did. But, like, not very good ones.
With thumbs and big hands.
This one's got thumbs. So
they're bulky hands.
Yeah, so Axon, essentially, his hands are the size of bow rocks. And as his character, or as his name implies, got a giant axe. Really solid design and good looking mask. The mask was actually originally going to be used for Toa Huki, but when they decided to go with the silicone mask look, they decided to use it elsewhere. But overall, just a solid looking character. Definitely looks like a big buff dude.
Yeah, there's just so many jokes with that character just lifting weights.
Oh yeah.
Because of the big hands, they can fit it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And then, of course, his counterpart, probably one of the most sought-after sets by most Bionicle fans that were just so eager. Brutaka. Just the gold and the blue color scheme with that epic, humongous sword and the big mask. It's just, he was one of the coolest-looking sets.
Yep.
Ever.
For sure. Like, at this time that it came out, I don't think we had seen that color scheme, the blue and gold. Which is just a solid color scheme in general.
Yeah.
And then, all the Paraka used, like, the claw that Brutaka has for hands as feet. So this is the first time we're seeing it as hands, and it looks cool.
Yeah.
But on top of that, this is the first time we see Brutaka's weapon, which is really good looking.
Oh, yeah.
And, just overall great design. Of course, as far as I'm a person that cares a lot about mask powers, and Brutaka's mask power being the mask of interdimensional gateways is also probably, in my opinion, the strongest mask that isn't a legendary mask. So that would also be a reason for me to collect as a kid.
Yeah, and then there's the second one that's probably the second most sought after one. Vizon and Fenrak.
Yeah.
With also the combination set, Vizon and Kardas.
Yeah. Overall, these are just cool looking sets. Anything with an open and closed jaw is already a win in my book, and both these do that. And also first character with a cape, I think, in Bionicle. So
probably the last one as well.
Yeah, Yeah. Yeah. But that's okay. They used it well on good old Vizon.
Mm-hmm.
This is also the introduction of, in my opinion, one of the most fun characters in the story, just because he is born out of an accident with a powerful weapon and just is crazy from the get-go.
Yeah.
Just
He's pretty much the Joker in Bionicle.
yeah, except not necessarily like as evil. He's like he's like an incompetent Joker, but also competent sometimes.
So, the Creeper.
Yeah, maybe.
You know, with his unitard and his red fur cape.
Yeah, perfect.
His bleached yellow skin.
But yeah, so lore wise, Vizon and Fenrak are guarding the Mask of Life, and this is the first time we actually technically get a Mask of Life. It being fused to Vizon's head. In reality, I don't really look at it and think, oh yeah, that's the Mask of Life. I'm mostly just like, that's just the top of Vizon's head.
Sorry, not a unitard, a Speedo.
Speedo, ooh, even better. But yeah, solid sets and really cool. Last one of the Titans is, I think,
forgettable Umbra.
Umbra, used in the story at one time, never talked about again. But he also has wheels for feet, so like,
which
that's
are good
pretty cool
for standing up on.
Yeah. He also does have the cool, like, double-bladed weapon with the glowy weapons, which is just a cool idea in general.
But his color scheme is all over the place.
His color scheme is crazy. They couldn't stick... Like, it would be one thing if they were like, all right, green, yellow, and silver, and black. Like, those are his main colors. But then for the weapons, they're like, yeah, definitely let's throw in a blue and a red weapon.
That light up.
Okay, Lego. Yeah. So, overall, very weird. Also, so his name is Umbra, but in the story, he's...
Penumbra, pretty much.
He has light powers. He's not a Toa of light, but, like, he turns himself into, like, a light beam at one point. And, yeah, he's an odd character. I will say, I love the use of the. I think it's the. Is it the Rua or the Ruru? The mask that he's wearing. I think it fits it very well.
Yeah. If only we didn't have another character with the Ruru this year.
True. Very true. Actually, wait. Who wears? Oh, yeah. Garen. You're right. That does detract from it now that I'm thinking about it. Oof. All right, well...
Maybe they're distant cousins. I don't know.
Maybe
that guy turns into Umbra.
Yeah, he loses all of his memories and gets turned into a Titan. Never
that
heard
wouldn't
of
be
that
the first time.
So yeah, 2006, quest for the Mask of Life, things are getting serious. What all sets did you have from this year?
All right, from this year, I know for sure I have Balta and Piruk. I might have all of the Matoran. I don't actually know. I don't think I paid attention when I got them, because I got a bunch of sets all at once, and it's just I can't keep track. But I know I at least have those two, so that I can recreate the Watati video.
Nice.
In terms of the Paraka, I have Vizok, Zaktan, and Thok. Thok being what I consider my very first Bionicle ever.
Nice.
And a fake Radak.
Nice.
In terms of the Toa, I had Toa Holly, which I got for Christmas, and lost her head right away. Which is sad. I never found it.
Very sad.
I know where it's at. I think I do. But I don't know where it's at. Then Kongu, which I consider to be my favorite set, because way back when, because I love his mask, even though technically it's a horrible design for Kongu, but I just think it looks so cool. And then Huki. And we forgot to talk about another Titans. Good old Ernak.
Oh. Yeah, I guess I did forget about that. Is he a combiner? No, he's not a combiner because he has custom.
He's the Golden Paraka.
Golden Paraka. Also, not very used in this story. You can kind of tell that the Lego designers were like, look, we made a golden one, and Farshti was like, okay, where do I put it in? Okay, all right. Ernak is a folk tale villain of the Skakti of the Paraka. By the way, Paraka is not a species. It's actually a Matoran curse word, so that's fun.
Yo Paraka.
Yo Paraka.
Okay.
But yeah, so Ernak's cool. Cool looking at least. He's a bit chonky, but
yeah.
Oh, and we also had the Paraka Stronghold. Yeah,
the Lego playsets that they started in 2005.
Yeah, those existed.
Yeah, let's forget them.
Okay.
So I had Huki for the Toa, and then lastly, in terms of the Titans, I have the mighty Brutaka.
Nice. Okay, so as of this point, I don't think I ever got any of the Matoran. For the Paraka, I got Avak only recently. And then for the Toa, I want to say I have all 6. Yeah, I have all 6 of the Toa. I originally got Kongu, and then shortly after got Holly. Kongu, interestingly enough, for me it was similar as far as losing the head, except I didn't lose the full head. I just lost the ball joint. And let me tell you, the head is useless once you lose the ball joint.
Or the stick.
But at least, the stick is something that you probably have in another Lego set.
Yeah.
The ball joint, we didn't see it too much before this year. So, that was sad. But I ended up, when I ended up getting Matoro and Niparu, I got another Kongu in that same bundle.
What's also sad is when you lose the ball joint on the torso.
On the torso?
When it breaks off.
Oh. Yeah. That's not a good feeling.
No. It happens a lot in later years.
Yes.
Especially once we get to that Matoran build.
Good times.
What else you got?
I think that's it. I never ended up getting any of the Titans of this year, although in my opinion, these are some of the coolest Titans. As far as, Axon having actual hands is really cool just to mess around with. And then Brutaka is just a really, really cool looking Titan.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's it for 2006.
So yeah, whenever I'm on the podcast, I keep drinking water like a beached whale.
Yeah, I feel that.
That's a phrase. Anyway, let's move along to the creeps of the deep. Well, we'll crash into you.
That was a rude transition.
Oh, sorry.
All right. So again,
next one is ruder.
Again with 2007, we're starting with the villains, but this year, they started deviating a little bit because in previous years everything was pretty much on land. This year, we're underwater.
It's that storyline.
Yeah, and I love how the story explains it as, yeah, the Mask of Life it wanted to go underwater.
And now the island is in danger of drowning as well.
Yeah. So starts us off with the villains. We got probably in my opinion, this is one of the best years for just the regular sets between the Toa and the villain sets.
It's an interesting year.
Well, and I say that because every set is different, like very different.
Yeah, objectively, probably one of the best years. Personally, I don't really care for it.
So as far as the Baraki are concerned, story wise, they're hundreds of, or yeah, 100,000-year-old warlords, and that got sentenced to the pit, which is like jail on steroids. And when Matanui passed out for a while, the great cataclysm that shook the entire world broke their cell open. They were able to escape into the mutative water of the pit and now are sea creatures. Well, except for Elec, because he was already kind of a sea creature beforehand, apparently. I don't know. Greg's a little weird. But this set, this group of villains this year was really nifty as far as like their pieces for each one was a very unique way of using those pieces. To the point where like you could tell that they were all part of the same line in that they were all, undersea looking. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it wasn't clear that they were like part of the same team, and that really works out well because while they were allies, they weren't really teammates per se. They worked together for mutual interests, and that was it.
Yeah.
And that was really well portrayed. Now, the biggest downside to the Baraki. I'm sure you've already, know what I'm talking about. I'll let you
I know
describe
what you're
it.
talking about. Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
You want me to describe it?
Yeah, go for it.
Anyway, so this year, going on with the theme where now everyone has their own custom gun. For the Baraki, because we are sea themed, instead of shooting bullets, we're shooting squids. It's a cool idea. However, in practice, our weapon is made out of rubber, and so is the bullet. And whenever you pull back, your tail is going to rip, and it's not going to shoot very far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of two things is going to happen. Either you're not going to pull it far enough, so it's just going to get stuck in the gun and not go anywhere. Or it may go somewhere, but definitely not the direction you're looking for. Or you're going to break your projectile and be sad.
Yeah.
I never broke any of my projectiles because I was very, very careful. But also, I found out the only way I could actually launch from the squid launcher was I had to hold the squid launcher so it was facing up and then launch the squid horizontally from there. And that worked okay. I could be accurate to about an inch.
Yeah, I think that they didn't really test this weapon out. They thought, You know what? the weapon doesn't work well. At least it looks cool. We're gonna stick with it.
Yeah. And I mean,
it worked wonders in the trailer, but
yeah, it definitely looks cool, and like having the stretchy projectile is an interesting thing. They're mostly just cool to have around, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, so also all of the villains here resemble different sea creatures of different kinds. So we've got Takodox resembling something like almost shrimp-like.
A fish mantis? I don't know.
Yeah, Kalma, they talk about it in the book as resembling a squid. Sure, that works. Something with tentacles.
Yeah, one of those things.
Karapar is a crab. Mantax is mantis. Elec is like an electric eel, I guess.
Yeah.
And Prydak is a shark. Although, admittedly, I didn't piece that together until the story told me, but that's okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He was just this red-colored fish.
Yeah.
They said he was a shark. It's like, oh, wait, that's blood. Okay.
Yeah. This is also... So, I should have mentioned this with the 2006, but they start to diversify and decide, hey, maybe the red character won't be the leader every year. So, with the Paraka, it was Zaktan, the green Paraka. This year, it was Prydak, the white Paraka. Or, the white Baraki. And they even start to diversify that a little bit with the Matoran of Voyanui, because
which they didn't have actually. I think this is the first time we didn't have like a set 6 good Matoran. We're just half and half good, half bad.
For Voyanui or for Marinui?
Marinui.
Oh, for Marinui. Well, yeah. So we ended up getting 2, and then 2 more later with the Karzani set.
Yeah.
And then we had Thulox and Morak, which weren't actually... They look like they should be bad guys, right? But in the story, they're just called Hydruka, and they help them harvest.
Oh, so
air.
They weren't bad guys.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, whatever.
Yeah. But you're right, they didn't have a full Matoran set here.
No.
Yeah. So they do start to diversify the leadership. In 2006, there's a lot of stories, or a lot of description in the story about Jaller being like, well, I'm the red Toa, I should be the leader. And then eventually Matoro ends up stepping up and is like, well, I'm going to kind of lead now. But then they go underwater, and then Matoro is kind of the leader, but also so is Holly, but also so is Jaller. It's kind of a mess, but I like it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is the year that they really are showing a lot more iconography for the Mask of Life. And with that leads us pretty well into the Toa.
Yeah, for me as a kid, one of the most disappointing sets, because this is the first time... Yeah, for me, this was the first time I saw my same set of characters move on to a new design. Where beforehand, it was just, that was all done. That's all I knew. Now, this is like real time, and they changed it. It's like, oh, they don't really look like the old guys anymore. They got all these tubes. Kongu especially was like, what the heck was that? But I guess he looks more like a Kongu, I guess, considering his past.
Yeah. I will say, so they did keep the color scheme the same for the most part. I think Matoro... No, I mean, Huki has the same color scheme from 2006, is what I mean. Huki is...
no, he's yellow now.
Yeah, he had yellow in 2006.
Not as much.
Not as much, but yellow is still a prominent color for him.
Maybe it's the black that was now introduced. Instead of having gunmetal, it's now
that's
black.
true. That's true. So you could still kind of figure out, oh, okay, maybe they're the same character. I will say it took me a while to figure out that Motoro was an Ice Toa and that Nuparu was a Toa of Earth because their masks are both silver and they have a lot of silver on them.
Especially in the underwater motif, you cannot tell what type of Toa they are.
Yeah.
Besides the color scheme.
It was a little weird, but I will say the masks this year were really cool. The weapons were nifty, except Kongu.
What were the guns called?
The guns were the Kordak Blasters.
The Kordak Blasters. They were cool. You lose them all the time, but they were cool.
Yeah, I actually... So this is... this is the gun that aesthetically I think I like the most because it just looks intimidating. And functionality wise, if you shot it, it was difficult to shoot and actually make it go far. But one thing I figured out as a kid is that if you put it underwater, it actually shot really well, which was something as a kid blew my mind.
Except you shouldn't keep it underwater because it's going to break the function.
Details. It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's Bionicle. The pieces always last forever, right?
Yeah.
Toa Holly with lime joints.
The sad tale, the lime green joint of this year.
Yeah. So these sets were all just like the Baraki were similar in that you could tell that they were all Toa, but they were also very different. You know, Holly had wings. Nuparu's weapon was a shield, which was cool.
Yeah, but nothing else.
Jaller had a crab. That's
with a gun on it.
It's a gun crab. It's so cool.
With a huge sword. That's probably the coolest looking sword that come out of this. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Kongu just had 2 guns.
So disappointing.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. His character it makes sense, and like the way his character looks, it doesn't look bad with 2 guns. But as a kid, you're looking for, okay, everybody else has guns. You know, everybody has at least 1 gun, and then they have a melee, and the melee weapon distinguishes them, makes them unique. And even though like Holly had claws, Motoro also had claws. They were different claws. But Kongu just didn't, and it was a little sad.
Yeah. 2 guns.
2 guns. 2 hands, 2 guns. But overall, masks-wise, again, I love the masks of this year. Even though Motoro and Nuparu both have silver, it's fine by me.
Yeah, it works. It works on them with their color scheme.
The one thing I will say is they're underwater, so by default, Jaller is already like nerfed. Like he's not gonna. This is not his domain. Same with Kongu, not his domain. And yet, those are the 2, in my opinion, that have probably the worst masks of the group. Jaller has like sonics, so he can do like sonic radars, which is, it's not that bad, but if you also don't have an elemental ability that's very useful, it's kind of a bummer. And Kongu can summon things, but like he doesn't know what he's summoning or if it'll attack him.
Yeah, he's like the worst Aquaman.
Yeah. So compared to like, I don't know, Motoro that can raise anything from the dead to fight for him, or Holly who can change her essence to match a Rahi of the similar area.
Whatever that means.
Or Huki, who just can control gravity now. Like, literally in the story at one point, they're like, hey, Huki, you got to deal with this. Because he's fighting Gudunka. And Huki's like, all right, but I kind of want a challenge. So I'm not going to use my mask.
Wow,
because it's so strong. And, he pays for that. And then he's like, all right, I'm going to just yeet you off into the sky water. But yeah.
Yeah. And then we move on to our Titans that were a really good follow-up to the last ones.
Speaking of Gudunka.
Holy Gudunka.
Holy Gudunka. Watch out, he's armed. Yeah, these were actually pretty solid sets. Gudunka is very, like, reminiscent to Elec in the style of, like, almost translucent but not, and I think he did glow in the dark. Very big teeth, cool looking design as far as, like, just a giant mouth. A little bit ridiculous, but
it's a mouth with legs.
Yeah, pretty much. And then as far as our other two big Titany boys, we got Hydraxon and then Maxlos and Spinax. Those are probably the most prominent ones.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
So I can't speak for Hydraxon, but Maxlos and Spinax is probably one of my favorite builds of Bionicle. It was just a ton of fun to make. And, like, it was really rewarding because with Spinax, it's a very simple build. It's essentially like you make a dog out of a Ica build. It's super easy, super straightforward.
Yeah.
So you already have that instant gratification, but then you have Maxlos, which is very, very different and very difficult. But overall, it's super fun to build. So.
And then we had our secondary Titans, which you will know more of than me.
Yeah, so we got Karzani, he's there. He kind of gets obsessed after Motaro flexes on him in his realm. Karzani is like, I'm going to follow them, and follows them to the ocean and then gets mutated. It's a little weird, that offshoot story. Fun fact, Karzani is actually one of the few characters that Greg Farshti actually helped with the design. So yeah, and it also comes with two Matoran as well, Sarda and Idris. And then pairing with that is Toa Lezovic, which...
Yo boy.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite Toa. Even though I realize he's just an edge boy Toa. That's fine. Again, he's got the Faxon, which is like Holly's. And still one of my favorite masks as far as looks go. And then he's got a cool... He's got a ride. He's got one of the first non-animal rides.
Yeah, like, isn't that the second vehicle in Bionicle?
Yeah.
Well, third if you count the Boxer. Fourth if you count the Exo-Toa.
True. I'm not gonna count them though. This is the second, like, speeder thing.
Okay.
That's what I'll classify it as.
Fifth and sixth if you count Goku and Puku.
Yeah, true. But those are animals; they don't count.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Lezovic, again, simple build, but looks really good in my opinion. And has a really cool speeder thingy. I don't know how to describe it. He is the special edition set, so he's not like a true Titan. Like, he's not that big. Pieces wise, most of his pieces come down to his speeder. but he is one of the special edition sets.
Yeah.
And looks really good in my opinion. Again, poor guy got stuck with lime green joints, but
yeah,
sometimes you gotta sacrifice for the aesthetics.
Of course. Yeah, and then there's Nocturne. The four-armed guy.
Yeah, so he's
that
part
I forget about. Yeah.
Yeah, he's part of Alex army, and he's essentially just a big dumb brute, but really cool looking big dumb brute.
Mm-hmm.
He's also got the glow in the dark design, and definitely looks cool.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much 2007, which it's a pretty good story. Big events happening this year.
Yeah, obviously this is the year that punches you in the feels, and then
next to the big plot twist of the next year coming up.
Yeah, so the story really hypes up in 2006 and 2007, and it starts trying to put all the plot threads together, and then 2008 is when we get it fully together. So before we do that, 2007, what sets do you have?
Okay, well, let's see, Alec, which is the only Baraki I have, besides my fake Pridak.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And just recently, within the past month, I got Matoro.
Yeah, nice.
Who, as a kid, I would just imagine him as a predator.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And also, just recently, within the past month, I got Hydraxon, which I think is the coolest looking Bionicle set ever. Sadly, he has poor knee articulation. But besides that, he's good looking. And then, of course, Maxilos and Spinex.
Yeah,
nice, that's it.
Nice.
Not much in terms of Toa and Baraki, but you know what? The Titans were good.
Yeah. Let me see. This year I got Mantax was my first one. Later I ended up acquiring, I think, Karapar and Elec. Though I don't think Elec's complete. And then I got both Defilak and Dekar. Morak, which is the Hydruka.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got Matoro. Oh, Matoro might be my only Toa Mari. Wow. Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's weird to think about until you actually look at what you have, and it's like,
yeah.
Oh, that's I don't have anyone else. That's interesting.
Yeah. So Matoro was interesting for me because I didn't see any of the Toa Mari in stores for a long time, and I think maybe it was just because I was getting older and I wasn't looking at toy stores as much, but like I just didn't see them for a long time. Mm-hmm. And then I got really, really into the story, and at one point we stopped by a toy store and I looked, and this was probably in 2000. Yeah, it was in 2008, because some of the Fantoka sets were out, and like on the shelf in the back, like just hidden, was Toa Matoro, and this was like right after I had read the comic and like decided that Matoro was my favorite character, and I was like, oh, this is perfect. Now, mind you, we're going to South American prices, so it was like $30.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I was like, you know what? It's worth. So I got it, and I'm so happy I did. But I was steep for the time.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, we go on to 2008, which they're now flying because gravity hurts.
Gravity hurts, dude.
So you can divide this actually into two sections, because they did an interesting section. Because the first half of the year is the Fantoka section where they're actually in the air.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, this was also the start of that one series on YouTube called Fantoka by the Shadowed One, which I enjoyed very much. That's how I know these characters more from their fake counterparts.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's start with our main 3 villains of this year.
Yeah. So we're at the battle of in the sky at the core of the universe, and this is where we get the big reveal that our 3 villains are other Makuta. What?
Whoa.
Makuta isn't a person, but a species.
Yeah,
Whoa.
And they're bats, apparently.
Yeah, they're kind of like bat things. It's interesting. I can respect the motif.
Mm-hmm.
It actually granted us some really cool pieces, so I'm pretty happy about that.
Oh yeah, it did.
But yeah, so this year was a little bit different as far as guns go, especially for the Makuta. Because these 3 Makuta didn't have guns, they had more of like bombs, I guess.
Yeah, like chest bombs.
Yeah.
That had leeches inside them.
Yeah, these shadow leeches that would drain the light out of whatever they came in contact with. Mm-hmm. They really do have a bat motif, which was pretty cool. I want to say it's Vampra, the blue Makuta. Yeah, Vampra walked on all 4s, which was really cool. Chirox or Kyrox or whatever had really long arms.
Mm-hmm.
And then Antros just had really cool wings.
Yeah, cool. Probably the best wings.
Yeah, I agree.
And the cool mask.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was the start of when we divided 3 and 3 here. So we had 3 good guys, 3 bad guys. Same with Matoran of this year.
Yep.
3 good Matoran, 3 bad Matoran. This is also when they changed their recipe in the pieces, and now they're much more brittle, which is terrible.
Yeah, both I believe the material that they used and then how they made the pieces were more squarish instead of roundish, and that caused them to fracture and break more easily, which was very sad.
It was. Still is.
Yeah. This is also the year of the Avmatoran design. Avmatoran being Matoran of Light. And this is where it gets a little frustrating because, previously we had 20 to 30 pieces per Matoran. Now we're sitting at around 14, with the highest of this year being 16 with Radiac, the red one. And it honestly doesn't feel very good. Like,
no.
We lost, like, most of the Matoran didn't have like arm articulation anyways. They didn't have elbows, they didn't have knees. But this year it felt like they were just taunting us because all of the arms were pre-bent.
It was cheap.
Yeah. And in reality, like, all of the torsos were custom made by Lego. You couldn't really customize them beyond what they were. You had a choice of the thin torso or the bulky, like, hunchback looking torso.
Yeah.
And that was it. You couldn't really add too much armor to it. They didn't have armor for these sets. And the
best thing about these sets were just mainly that they would connect to their Toa or Makuta counterpart.
Right. And all the good Matoran had jetpacks. All the bad Matoran had wings. Those pieces were cool. Not like crazy, but they were nifty.
Yeah. And this is also the return of our Toa Nuva characters.
It is. So
with interesting deal.
Yeah. So this year they've got adaptive armor given to them by good old Artaka. And I mean, I guess that explains some of it, except why Pohachu's orange now.
Or Kopaka is blind in a different eye.
Yeah, how that flipped. It's a little
Mm-hmm.
weird. I understand from Lego's perspective, their brown sets were not selling very well. So they
No.
changed brown to yellow, and then this year to orange to see if they could get it to sell better. And I think that they probably did. Brown is a weird color to sell people on.
Yeah. But Kopaka is just the really confusing part. Because I don't know how you switch eyes.
Yeah, I think. So my guess is that Farshti was writing, and he was like, "All right, well, the Toa Nuva have to come back at some point. Let's do it now." And nobody realized that Kopaka's eye was flipped, and they just kind of ran with it, which is sad because they already have, like, Nuju, for instance, has that's the correct eye for Nuju.
Mm-hmm.
So that would have been cool. Like, oh, the Turaga came back for one last fight, or I don't know. Maybe that would have been worse for the story. I'm not sure.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, in terms of these sets, we have another gun for Toas now.
Mm-hmm.
For these ones specifically, the
Sky Blaster, the Midex
the
Sky
Blaster, the Midex Sky Blaster, which were cool. They were pretty much bazookas.
Yeah. Yeah. This was like, okay, this was the upgraded version of the Zamor Sphere launcher, right? Because it used the same bullets, just silver ones this year. But you could turn it any which way you wanted, and the bullets wouldn't fall out until you wanted them to launch.
Yeah, they improved that tremendously.
Yeah. On top of that, they added a few gripping points, so if you wanted your character to hold it from the top or from the bottom or from behind for some reason, you could.
Yeah, so in terms of our weapons, Kopaka had one bazooka.
Yep.
With a knife attached to it.
Yep.
That's okay.
Yep.
Pohatu had helicopter hands.
Yeah.
Which he couldn't really do anything because he's using that to fly.
Also true.
And then, of course, he had this gun. And then I think the better deal is Liwa with 2 jetpacks, a humongous sword, and a bazooka.
Yeah. So as far as the Toa of the Fantoka series, they had really cool. The differences between them were cool because they each had a different way to fly, right? Kopaka had wings, Liwa had jetpacks, Pohachu had helicopter hands. Cool in concept. But Pohachu, well, okay. I like Pohachu as a set because you can still spin his hands and it's really fun. As, like, weapons, unless you're on the ground, it's a little weird.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah, it matches well with the Mask of Speed, which is cool, I guess. You can spin them faster.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a little weird. I do think Toa Liwa is the best set of this series because while I love Kopaka's wings, having a bayonet on like a bazooka is weird, and it's so teeny.
Yeah, it is.
And this is where like Lego gets into their obsession with, okay, we gotta have guns. Guns are important. Guns are maybe even more important than melee weapons. And we saw that with Kongu, and we see that more this year too, where it's like, okay, I get it that they're flying, right? But also the coolest shot of any of your teasers is when Liwa flies past Antraz and they have the cool like shwing of their
sword, yeah,
their swords clashing. It's just so good.
Yeah, and then we move on to the second half of the year, where we're in the swamp, and now we're in the Makuta year.
Yep.
And we have these bug Makuta,
Yeah.
And our Swamp Toa.
Yeah. So the Swamp Toa look almost like, as far as like just like overall design, it kind of looks cool because they look like almost like a SWAT group.
They
like
do, yeah.
Specialized task force, which is cool. But
weapons wise,
yeah, we run into the same issues because Lego's obsessed with the weapons. So Tahu at least has like a spinny shield, right? Which is not the greatest, and especially coming from like from Fantoka, we already saw spinny with Pohachu. Yeah. But at least it's something.
Mm-hmm.
But then we pop over to like Onua, who's got not even a shield for him to hold. He's got a shield on his arm. Or Gali, who's... Oh, right, she has a sight. That's her weapon. So she can look down the sight with her waffle eye.
Yeah. Yeah. We also have a new gun for this section called the Phantom Blaster.
Yeah.
And it's the same with the villains, except a different color.
Yeah.
Which, those were cool. I liked them.
I thought they were okay. I think coming off of the Might Sky Blasters, it was like, oh, okay, these are nifty. They made a very satisfying noise. I will say that.
They
just
did.
Pop.
When you got them in the right spot.
So good. And very fun to squish. As far as like launch distance, it was never as far as Xamarin or Midak. And the bullets did tend to fall out if you're trying to pose them, but not terribly, not like a Xamor sphere. Mm-hmm. So it was still okay overall. Decent weapons.
Yeah, and our Makuta were pretty neat looking designs still.
Yeah.
Gorax, Beetle, and Krika with the beautiful arms.
Indeed. And I really do like the insectoid look to it. Like, there's no real reason for it. Like, swamps and insects, I guess, are kind of similar. Like, they go hand in hand, but I think it looks really cool. Like, it explains that the same water that mutated the Baraki is also responsible for mutating things here in Cardanui, and it mutated the Makuta into their insectoid forms here.
Yeah.
Which one of Greg Farshti's way of balancing things is, if you look at the list of Makuta powers, they're long. Makutas have so many powers. So this was his way of being like, oh, well, the swamp made it so that they could only have like 4 of their powers. So that worked.
Sure, why not?
Yeah. Overall, though, like, Krika's got his cool long legs. Gorast has awesome looking wings, which I love. Probably my favorite part about the set. And then Biddle, just very solid. And
Biddle is Biddle.
Yeah. The one thing I do want to talk about is canister design for this year.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I wanted to mention that earlier. The canister design of this year is epic. They put so much work into it. So much work that they were so difficult to open.
They still are. Like, I tried to get some pieces from Krika, my Krika set the other day, and like, man, they did not make that easy.
No. Yeah, we have the cool like mask of life design on it. It's scarred on one side, perfect on the other side. But to open that sucker, they don't really have a handle for it, so you're just kind of hoping for the best to get that thing open.
Oh yeah, it was really difficult. Like, I love the look of the design because of how they did that modeling, to where one side is decayed and one side is like clean.
Yeah.
It just looks really cool if you have them side by side. But also, mind you, when I was getting these, I was like 9 or 10, and I literally had to look at the instructions on the back to be able to open the box. So very difficult.
Yeah, and then we have a lot of Titans to go over.
Mm-hmm. This is a year of a pretty nifty looking Titans.
Yeah, they are. Mainly the beautiful vehicles.
Yeah.
That they focused a lot of this year.
Oh, for sure. So, just kicking things off, because we're following the Mask of Life right now. Toa Ignica.
Oh, yeah.
The first time we actually get the Mask of Life.
And it's silver.
I guess, second time if you're counting Vizon. But this is the Toa created as the body of the mask. And overall, the set's pretty cool. Like, it's not super show-offy. It's not super different. It does have a sword, which is better than most of the sets of this year. And it has air surfboard?
An air surfboard.
Yeah.
Perfect
it looks
description.
Cool.
Yeah, it looks cool.
As far as I think as far as the Toa builds, this is either my favorite or second favorite of this year. Lua's is just really good too. But yeah, just a solid set.
Yeah, with him we have the return of Makuta, Icarex.
Yeah. So Icarex is alright. Icarex is kind of a punk Makuta, right? And he, like his name implies, he ends up flying too close to glory and then gets completely destroyed. But he does look really cool. Have way too many melee weapons.
A spinny blade shield with Elix hands spike thing with a sword in it.
Yep.
And I think it's a double-edged sword as well.
Yeah. So he was like edgelord to the max.
On top of that, he has his shadow leeches and his wings.
And this is the resurgence of the Kanohi Krakan, or Mask of Shadows, which is good. It's good to see it back. Yeah.
Yeah. And that also, we had the return of Takanova. He had a few changes.
Yeah.
That happened to him.
So now he's a real big boy.
He's a real big boy.
But he's also going through his emo phase this year, as half of his life was sucked away, or his light. Sorry, his light is sucked away, so he can use shadow and light.
Yeah, which makes him humongous.
Yeah, apparently, who'd have thunk? But yeah, this is at the time I believe this is the tallest set that was released
compared to Cardis.
Oh yeah, Cardis is bigger.
Yeah,
I guess I was thinking of just like straight Titans, not creatures. But yeah, you're right. Cardis is bigger.
In terms of just straight Titans, he was the biggest one.
Yeah, Botar also might have been, but I don't think there was ever actually a set release for Botar. I think he was a combiner. But yeah, so there was that Takanova being super tall and really cool. And then before we get into the vehicles, we also got special edition Makuta Mizrix, or not Mizrix, Mutrin and Viken.
Yeah, Mutrin and Viken.
Which is essentially just color swapped Kirox, which is okay.
Yeah, with a nice green colorization. It was neat.
Yeah. Lots of lime.
Nice claw hands.
Lots of lime, very few lime joints.
Good.
Yeah. So that's That's not bad. And it came with both the Makuta and the Matoran in one go, and I think it was actually cheaper than if you wanted to get both a Matoran and it was cheaper if you got.
And then we had a legendary rivalry of Mazeka and Voltrez. No, yes.
Yeah.
Is it Voltrez?
Yeah, it's Voltrez.
Okay.
Yeah. And Mazeka is the only vehicle set this year that isn't flying. It's kind of like a crab turret thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool. It uses the Abmatoran design for the base, which is kind of a bummer. But coming back with the Kanohi Volatak, I think it's the Volatak, the Mask of Stealth, which is just a good-looking mask. And then on the Voltrez side, we got a small speeder, which looks good. It uses the Kopaka wings really well. The Matoran is a little weird looking, and I will say the mask is probably one of the weirdest looking masks of this year. But it's okay.
Yeah. And then we're officially into the vehicles, so let's have Raka.
Yeah.
Which is Kopaka's beauty of a small green vehicle.
You mean Pohachu, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah, him too.
Yeah. Interestingly, so I never owned this one. It looks like it didn't have a Midex Skyblaster, but instead had... Oh, no, maybe it did.
It did. It has.
Oh, but it had the storage of a... Oh, interesting. Okay. That's cool. Yeah, this was like a true like speeder, almost like the ones we see in Star Wars. It's a nice little ship, and it's cool.
It's like a chopper.
Yeah.
That's how I viewed it. It's just like an old chopper.
Yeah, like a nice flying motorcycle.
Mm-hmm. And then of course we had our jet tracks.
Yeah, and it's yellow color variant as well.
Yes, and a new design for Antraz, which is interesting.
Yeah, I agree. I don't track with this is Antraz, but okay. Whatever you say, Greg. I'll believe you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
and
Makutas are shapeshifters, so sure. But yeah.
And we have our beautiful red boy, Accelera.
Yeah, this was just a good looking set.
I think I won an award for that one.
I wouldn't be surprised. This is it's a big set, and it had a lot of cool functionalities in it, and they changed. So for all of these, they changed the rider a little bit. In the case of Antraz, a lot of it. But they changed Liwa to have cool fins. Same with Pohachu.
Yeah.
While they were riding it, and it looks cool. Yeah. I like it a lot. The one thing that is nifty about all of these aircrafts is that they gave them all a place for kids to hold them.
Yes.
That made it convenient for them to shoot the Sky Blaster from, which is, I think, a cool design. It also kind of turned them into guns, like big guns. But that's okay. I'm not against that.
Yeah. So, just overall, neat design. Interesting year in terms of just bringing back our Nuva and our interesting motifs. But the story was really where things kicked off with that plot twist.
Ooh, yeah.
It was all a giant robot the whole time.
Always has been.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other twist of, hey, we brought back Matanui, but psych. It was Makuta in Matanui's body. Bum, bum, bum. And also Matanui's getting put into the Mask of Life and launched into space.
What? No, that can't be.
It's crazy.
I have no idea what's going on, but that's scary.
Yeah. So, before we land on Bara Magna, what sets of this year did you have?
Let's see. Starting with let's just say bad guys now. Bad guys.
Okay.
I have Gorax, Antraz, Krika, and Vampra. Good guys, Liwa, Tahu, and Kopaka. Titans, Mutran, Takanova, and Vehicle, Raka.
Nice. A lot of these I acquired afterwards, but this was also the year that I started collecting a lot more. So I got Antraz and Kopaka early on, and then I ended up getting, I believe, I got Vampra later, I got Pohachu later, I got Liwa later too. Did I get all of them? I think I got all of them. Yeah, because I got Chirox later too. So I got all the Makuta. Or all the Fantoka. And then into the others, I ended up getting Toa Nua, and then I got Krika, Goras, and Biddle. And then Voltraz. I think, yeah, Voltraz was my only vehicle. Oh, and Toa Ignika I got as well.
Okay.
The good boy.
Yeah. And, then we had moved on to 2009, which was also a style change in Bionicle.
Very big style change.
No longer on our main world. We're on a new world altogether. All new characters, all new motifs. Return of the elemental feeling. And, the return of a movie, which was pretty neat.
Yeah. This was like a revisit to Bionicle.
Yes,
because
it was.
It ended with a season finale of craziness that we didn't expect, or some people did expect, that we were inside a giant robot and then Makuta took over, and now you're like, what? And now you get to follow the character that's been asleep for several thousand years.
Yeah.
Matanui. And the motif for here is that it's a desert. So it's got a lot of ancient Egyptian vibes, or ancient Middle Eastern vibes. And from that, it's actually, story-wise, it feels awkward, but set-wise, it's really cool, I think.
Yeah.
And obviously later on we get Matanui as a set, and we'll talk about that. But the fact that we got Matanui as a set, and then later another set, was something that I don't think very many people imagined we would. And so that was kind of cool how it came full circle with that. But yeah. So, hopping right into it, 2009
sets. With our Glottarian.
And a Gory. Not talking about Matoran and Toa or Makuta for another few years.
Yeah, this was the first time, moving on with just the first wave of Glottarian. There is really no clear, these are main set of good guys, main set of good guys. We have mostly just people, and clearly one or two villains. Yeah. Everyone else was just an anti-hero, or just some good guy.
Yeah, and even in the story, the Skrull are definitely the bad guys, and the Voroks are not entirely sentient anymore, but everybody else kind of falls on the spectrum of, Strack and Malum are jerks. Terex is good. Gresh is good. But yeah, everybody's kind of, it does really fit with that vibe of everybody is kind of fighting to just stay alive here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's nifty. And the whole concept behind Glottarian is cool, because for everybody trying to get resources after the last great war that happened on the planet, they decided instead of people going to war to get resources, they would send their best fighter. And so their cultures are decided around lone fighters fighting in an arena to gain resources or land or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's a really cool idea overall. And it comes with a cool game that they specifically made with a gear on the back that determined the health of each character, and then the Thornatus launcher.
The exploding fruit.
Yeah. Which of their weapons looks nifty.
Yeah, it worked pretty good.
Yeah.
You can still lose the fruit, but it was good.
And the launcher was cool because you could use it with a Xamarin sphere too, if you wanted. So that was cool. But yeah, hopping into the sets, like, you're totally right about the elemental feeling to them. Gresh is one of the first green sets that feels more plant-like than...
Yeah, he's probably one of the coolest looking Bionicle sets that come out of this year.
Yeah.
My favorite mask design of all time, for sure. But yeah, he's moi.
Very good.
And this year, instead of masks, we just have helmets.
Yeah. They changed up the heads again.
And we have the Iron Man head.
Yeah, which Iron Man head wasn't bad.
No.
I think it was pretty cool. I will always say that I prefer the masks that go onto their face, like towards their face.
Yeah.
But this was really cool because, again, they could do the thing where they didn't have to worry about the mouthpiece being the connecting part. So we got some really cool designs out of it. Like, I believe it's Malum. Yeah, Malum only has the top part of his thing. Same with some of the Agori only have the top of their head and covered.
They focus more on that when they come to the Legends side of things. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. So overall, really cool. Definitely great coloring. Like, I'm still amazed that they released Terex with actual, like, gold pieces.
Mm-hmm.
I wish we had gotten that with Mount Nui, but still good looking. And then the Agoria,
unique weapons as well.
Yeah, the weapons were fantastic. And then hopping down to the Agori, even though they were still Avmatorn builds, they did a good job with the weapons and the looks of each of them to where they were very different, at least in some ways. Tarduk walked on all fours with claws. Zesk had a cool tail. Overall, like, with these, it felt like you were getting more bang for your buck than last year, even though I think the piece count was pretty much the same.
Yeah,
pretty much, with Tarduk being the most at 17.
And then we move on to the Glottarian Legends, which were good upgrades. Half of them are movie characters.
Yeah.
And the other half were just poor Gelu, who's just...
Poor Gelu.
Poor Gelu.
So he's featured in, like, all of the books, too, because he's just such a good character, but not in the movie at all, which is sad.
No, and he's just, like, he's forgotten about. But he's a really cool set.
Yeah, very cool. He's one of the sets that, like, I regret not getting at the time because just the look of him is very good. Like, there's no part of him that I'm looking at that I'm like, that's a bummer. He also rocks the dark blue white color scheme, which I don't think we've seen before. So that looks really good on him. We might have seen it with Strack a little bit. Yeah, we see it with Strack. But yeah, and then of course this is the year that we get Mana Nui, which again,
yes,
very much wish that they had gone with gold, but the pieces used on Mana Nui are great. We finally get another Mask of Life. Well, I guess Helmet of Life.
Yeah,
now.
It's not our proper one, but we get him.
Yeah, and it's smaller, so it works on a smaller size set.
Yeah.
And I feel like they did a good job with Mana Nui here because he really does stand out with like his shoulder pieces and his weapons. Even amongst all these other characters that are very unique and how they look too.
He doesn't have a sword.
True.
And he doesn't have the beetle part of his shield.
Right. But I feel like the beetle part of the shield was something that Greg added later. It was like,
yeah, so...
also the pieces, somebody pointed this out pretty early on when they were first being released, but the pieces that made up his shoulder blades and his shield were shaped very similarly to the outer parts of the Bionicle logo.
Yeah.
Which was a really cool idea on their part. So yeah, overall the legends were good additions. They didn't feel like they were too different from the previous ones, but also they added a lot of cool new things. For instance, Akar's giant flaming sword.
Oh boy, yeah.
Yeah, just cool designs.
And in terms of the Titan set, this is probably somewhat of a step down of memorable sets. There's one or two that really stick out.
Yeah.
One specifically that sticks out. I think we both know which one it is.
Click.
Yeah, Click.
Apparently Click was actually released as a set in the UK.
It was like a Target set, I think.
Dude, that's so cool. I want a Click now. I'm gonna make a Click later. Well, okay. I would argue that there's two that are very memorable of this year. We've got, on the one hand, we've got Toa Mana Nui, which is memorable for obviously being a giant Mana Nui set.
Mainly the gold mask.
The gold mask too. The first time we actually get a gold Ignica. It only took us, 10 years. But also it's known for having a gold and yellow color scheme, which is not great.
It's mainly a yellow color scheme with 4 gold pieces.
Yeah, it's not ideal, but not all the yellow matches though is the thing.
No, it doesn't. It's a very disappointing Titan set. It's also bigger than the Takanova one. It was really big.
Very big.
But it's disappointing. It's got a huge sword, but that's the Jollar sword.
Yeah. So
at least it's got hands.
That's true. The hands were actually a really cool part.
They were also new for everyone else. They have different hands than before.
Oh yeah. This year was the year of the fist, so that was cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think probably might be for you too as well. But for me, the most memorable one was Scopio, because holy, that was a big set.
Big boy.
I really lucked out, so I ended up getting this one. Because it was on sale for like $30, and I was like, "What?" And so I got it, and it is
$30,
right?
Isn't it normally like $90?
Yeah. I don't know what Walmart was doing, but they were doing something wrong.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So I got it. It's a huge set. And it's a transforming set, so that's always fun. It's got just a lot of fun to it, a lot of posability that you wouldn't expect out of a vehicle. Yeah, just overall really, really fun, and again, big. Let me see, it's got 849 pieces, which is huge. And of course, me being the child I was at the time, I decided, you know what? I'm going to do something nobody's ever done, and I'm going to make a stop motion of building the whole thing. And that was probably the worst decision. But I did do it on a, Nintendo DSi camera, so the quality's not great.
I saw it.
Yeah. Anyways.
Besides that, we have the mighty Tuma.
Yeah, Tuma. Almost forgot about Tuma.
Mm-hmm.
Tuma's a good set.
Yeah, he's a good set.
He takes the cool scrawl swords, and we get a green variant out of it, which is really nifty.
We don't get the green shield.
We don't get the green shield, which is really sad. But otherwise, just a solid set. Nothing too crazy, but
yeah,
solid.
And then there's the dinosaur thing.
Yeah, we got Pharaoh and Skirmix.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
And then we got Samus and his Burmese.
Yeah, all right. Real talk, one of my favorite sets.
Okay.
Because I really like... I don't know, I just really liked how it fit. Like, this is the only chariot set in Bionicle. Yeah. And it's just different. Everything else is, like, super, like, vehicle-esque. And this is like, hey, I found an animal that has 2 heads. And I strapped it to something with wheels. And now I'm going to go enslave all of the Agori. Yeah.
And, my poor Iron Tribe is dead.
Yeah.
And there's this just one vehicle. I don't know what it's called.
So we have 3 other vehicles besides that. We have...
What? 3?
3. So we have, as far as the biggest one besides that, we have the Thornatus, which is... Thornatus. This was cool because it was like pseudo-transforming. It wasn't fully transforming, but like you could make it get big or get small. Mm-hmm. So that looks cool.
As you do.
And then we had the Zaxium. Or sorry, Cazium?
The Cazium.
Which is like it's like a motorcycle with like a sidecar. It's blue.
Oh, yeah. That one.
Yeah, I don't remember too much about it, but it was an interesting idea at least. And then we had the Sendox, which was the smallest, like single motorcycle looking thing.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, there was. Yeah, they're not memorable for sure.
Yeah, and definitely like the smaller ones were. You don't remember them as much as like the giant ones that have like 4 different guns and whatever.
Yeah, but overall, a fun year. Return to our elemental features. Good color schemes. Solid designs for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And, they have to semi-ruin it by the next year.
Yeah. Well, so the one thing that I think that they did really well with Bar Magna is they didn't use silver on every set. Don't get me wrong. I'm a person that likes silver for my weapon choice, right? Every mock that I make has silver weapons.
Are you sure about that?
But they didn't use silver nearly as much this year.
No, it was just for their guns.
Yeah, like...
And sometimes their swords.
Yeah, like, Akar has some silver, right? Vastas has some silver. But for the most part, their color schemes are, like, green and dark green. Or orange and red. Or tan. We actually got, for the Vorox, we got tan and brown, which was cool.
Yeah.
It's
an interesting color.
We got back to it.
Yeah.
So yeah. So out of these sets, which ones did you have?
Okay, let's see. I had Gresh, Gelu, Malum and Akkar, Skrull, which I told you the sad story that I lost the shield.
Oh, that is sad.
I know exactly where I lost it, but I can't get there.
Oh.
It's in another country. And the Scorpion dude. Vorox, yeah.
Yep.
And for the Gogori, I have the blue one.
Oh, Barracks. Yep.
Barracks, yeah, that one. Renu.
Okay, yeah.
And I think the small scroll.
Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh. And then I have... Oh, yeah, Matanui.
As you should.
Yes, as you should. The normal Matanui. And then I have Toa Matanui.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got him. I was one of the few that got him.
Nice.
Which means I have the Gorenaika. Yeah.
Nice.
And I think that's it.
All right. So for what I had Barracks, the blue Agori, Tarduk, the green one. I think that was it for Agori. And then for the original Glottarian, I got Gresh. Yeah, I guess just Gresh. And then I got Vastus and Matanui for the Legends. And as far as Titans, or I guess vehicles, I had the Barnatus, which is Samad's. I had the Thornatus, and then the Scopio. So yeah. Oh yeah, also this year, quick canister discussion. They made the base of the canister the same for both the Glottarian and the Glottarian Legends, which is a good idea on their part as far as like
they made it
marketing
so much better to open.
Oh yeah, all they had to do was add a little lip, and you just open it. It's super clean, super easy. As far as like canisters designs go, I'll go ahead and say this. As the years go on, the canister designs kind of go downhill. Because at first they start as like an integral part of the story. And then by, I guess, 2005, they really aren't anymore. The Anika have cool ones, and then the Mari aren't great.
The Baraki are fun.
The Baraki are great. I agree. But the Fantoka, not great. The Mystica,
good looking.
Hard to open. Yeah. These were decent canisters. Not like crazy, but not bad either. No. They did introduce stacking, so you could stack the canisters.
Oh, yeah.
Although I guess that's been around for a while, but you couldn't do that with, like... I don't think you could do that with Fantoka or the... No, you could do that
Definitely
with the Mystica.
Not. Because the Fantoka, they didn't really have, like, the covers.
Yeah.
The tops were it. They just had that weird plastic thing.
Yeah,
that they taped to the box.
They literally taped it. I forgot about that. Yeah, that was not a good year for canisters.
And then, of course, we have the stepchildren of all Bionicle.
Stepchildren. It's funny.
Stars.
I'm on a Bionicle website, and like they have pictures for all of the others, and they just stop after the Glottarian Legends. Oh, that's so sad.
Oh yeah.
So the big thing is Bionicle at this point has been going for almost 10 years.
Yes.
And Lego already knows, all right, Bionicle, I think at this point is not pulling as much revenue for them.
No.
I think a lot of fans expected it to end in 2008 based off the advertising. 2009 was really weird because it was completely new characters except for Matanui. and in a new place, and like masks weren't really a thing anymore, and there was no real like collectible. The sets were great, but it was very different for Bionicle. So I think a lot of people started to fall off there. The movie animation was great.
Yeah, it was
Very cheesy, but animation was good. So by the end of it, Bionicle stars. I think Lego's like, all right, well, we'll do one last set release and finish up the story, albeit in not as cool of a way because they didn't get like a movie out to finish it off.
Yeah, it was a bit of a rushed fashion.
Yeah. And so for the Bionicle stars, their idea was, let's make miniature versions of beloved characters so that we can... They're almost like trophies. Like smaller versions that you can have set on a desk. Kind of remind you of other versions. Good idea.
There's a problem with that, yeah.
But when you're releasing sets that have at most like 20 pieces, it's very frustrating because these are the last sets that are ever released. And I'll admit, they're probably the most creative of the Avmatorian, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
there's still Avmatorian builds.
Yeah. They did bring back the idea of the collectible in the golden armor, which they put one piece in everything, which I thought was cool. We don't actually see a lot of golden things in Bionicle. It was
cool, but you had to get them all.
Yeah. And they were the sets were okay. Builds were not difficult by any means. I think probably the best ones were like the Rakshi or the Paraka builds because they at least had something different about them.
Yeah, but the Rakshi was still probably the sets that were probably left over.
Yeah.
In the clearance section after all of this went through.
Yeah. So it was, I don't know, it was really, really weird. I mean, if you're a Tahu fan, that's great. You just got another golden mask. You got another variant of the How, and you got a really cool fire sword for him. That's awesome. If you're a Takanova fan, you got another silver Mask of Light. It's already been released, but you can get another. If you're a Gresh fan, you get more silver.
Lime.
Yeah, and the lime helmet, which
is really cool.
Yeah, but otherwise, the Paraka set reuses Antraz's weapons. The Skrull set reuses Skrull weapons.
No, it uses Kopaka's sword.
Oh, that's true. But it does have the Skrull shoulder pieces. Mm-hmm. But you're right, it does use Kopaka's sword. And then the Rakshi is, I think, literally reusing Rakshi pieces for those swords. So that was kind of a bummer. They didn't do as many custom pieces for this. I think the only pieces they introduced, besides like the Rakshi spine head and the Paraka spine head, were like Tahu's new How.
It's the armor pieces mainly.
The armor pieces, and then the feet. The feet are also different. Which
for the good guys.
For the good guys, yeah. I'll give credit where credit's due. The good guy feet are really... They add a lot as far as what you can do to work with them, because it's not just ball joint already attached to it. You can attach the ball joint however, and there's also a plus axle on the bottom that you can work with. You can do some cool like shields and stuff with it. I like it. But yeah, beyond that, this year was kind of a bummer.
Yeah, pretty much. And we both own all of these stars, correct?
Yeah, that is correct. Yeah. I will say this much. It is the first set or series that I got all of the sets for. Mm-hmm. And I know I explained that story on the last podcast. But
Part 1.
Yeah. But it was cool to actually finally collect an entire series using my own money. Like, that was cool. But that was the only plus to it.
Yeah. Do we really want to go the next 2 years?
We could do a speed run.
Speedrun.
All right.
Yeah, it canceled, came back. The Toa design for the first one was really good. It was very reminiscent of the Ramata. Yes?
Also, we moved to CCBS, which is Character and Creation Building System, which is what Hero Factory switched to. And they do well. They do a good job for the first year because they have cool gear mechanics, but as far as like weapon design, not as cool. But colors are great.
Yeah, they're great. They look fantastic. They look like renditions of the old ones.
Yeah.
Tahu is beautiful.
Yeah, and the masks are different in how they attach. But they bring back
gold variants.
Yeah, and they bring back the idea of knocking masks off faces, which is a cool thing, as well as the
except I believe it's worse on this one because it falls much easier.
It is, but it's also one of those things that if you hit him in the back of the head, that's what triggers it to fall off. I thought it was cool, and it also like the downside is it doesn't have a plus axle, so you can't use it for like a weapon of some kind. But as far as how it attaches to the face and how the face looks as a result, I think the face looks cool underneath the mask.
Their Matoran version, they're the Guardians, or is that what they're called?
I think
they're all similar.
Yeah, all the masks are the same except for the colors. I actually do really like that look of the mask, but it is kind of a bummer to see them all be the same. That being said, in this story, the masks don't have powers beyond elemental powers. It's just element.
And then we have the cool looking Mask of Creation, which is they give it to us pretty much right away. Yeah. With the Akimo set. Yeah. And then the main problem so far is just the villains. They don't really have good villains. There's just the spiders, the skull people, which are not distinctive and very forgettable.
And the skull people, they don't really give a clear color to. They just throw a bunch of like translucent pieces at it and hope we don't realize that. And they're just okay.
And then we move on. Yeah.
I was just gonna say the swords and stuff that they have are cool, but that's all I got.
And then we move on to the second year where they just update the designs really strangely. It does not work for all of them.
It was.
They still look cool.
Yeah, I will say it was a cool like how they mixed the animal with the Toa. Like I liked how Tahu mixed with the Firebird thing. That was cool. But also the last time they did a furry year in Bionicle, it didn't go as well, and that was the same for this one. Yeah. They do a lot with translucent pieces, which I love the translucent pieces, but too much of a good thing isn't a good thing anymore. Yeah. Oh, also, they didn't have any like launchers or guns in this new reboot. I don't think, did they?
They did for the Guardians.
Oh, that's
not
right.
Not for the Toa.
Right, because they had the stud launchers. Yeah. Yeah. So second series wasn't as good. Again, the villains were just more monsters, and then eventually
there wasn't really villains for the second one. I don't think Was there?
They did. I think they had 3 of them, but they were just, again, they were monsters. They had no personality, no distinction, nothing.
Yeah.
And then Makuta. And
yeah, Makuta. We never got a set for him.
I thought we did. Did we not?
No, we never. No, we never did.
No,
we got
way.
a design on the we got the design on the cartoon show, but the show they canceled the thing, and we never got the set.
That is terrible.
So people with 3D printers, they create their own set, but we never got our Makuta. We got the Hero Ikimu. Yeah. But never the Makuta, which is really a bummer way to end the second run of Bionicle.
Yeah. Again, this is their motif for this one was more of like an Aztec/Mayan influence rather than a Polynesian Islander influence, which wasn't bad, but they didn't really capitalize on it too much. And yeah, they did have the Netflix series, which was probably a little bit too cheesy, and but I will say the animation was pretty cool. And you didn't like the animation?
I didn't like it. No. I prefer the 2D version. I just
really
I don't like the 3D mixed with the 2D background. It's just it's so distracting.
That's fair. I will say having Bionicle as a TV show, I think was a good play. I think it worked out for them when they did it for Hero Factory and it helped them with Ninjago a ton. But with Bionicle, it ended up falling flat. Old Bionicle fans were used to a deep, complex universe. New Bionicle fans probably didn't care, and it ended up falling flat.
Yeah. With all of that said, what was your favorite year of Bionicle?
I'm gonna go 2007 because that's when I got into the story. I think the sets for that year were really cool looking. We got a lot of good color diversity, and besides the squid launcher and Kongu's double guns, the weapons were all fun too. Good Titan sets too.
Yeah, objectively, I would say 2007, but personally, I like 2006 and 2001 the best.
Oh, okay. I'll agree with you. 2001 is definitely up there because it's just got that classic look to it. And it's not like where, like, obviously Lego improved off of the design, but there's just something so, like, elegant about how unique they were then.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to describe, but it's so cool. It's the essence of what Bionicle is and was in many ways.
And so what are your favorite sets of all time?
Oh. I mean, again, I love building Scopio. I love building Maxilos and Spinax. Motoro Mari, for multiple reasons, but he's also got my favorite looking mask. Oof. This is hard to choose. Gresh.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And Samad. Yeah. Samad's just kind of like, he's just an interesting set. I don't know. He's unique in his own way. Obviously story adds more to it, but I think those
adds a story to it. It's a strange story, but it's a story.
It's a very strange story.
Yeah.
And then I'm trying to think of, like, I love all the Metru builds too, just as a basic Toa build.
Metru, the Mata.
Metru and Mata are very...
They're given.
Yeah.
Almost. Yeah, for me, Gresh, definitely. Hydraxon, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Tahu's... Even the new Tahu, even for the new sets, the Tahus I really liked.
Mm.
Old sets, the Nika, Kongu, definitely. for nostalgic reasons.
Yeah.
Brutaka.
Mm.
And yeah, all the fun, good stuff of life.
Very true.
Yeah.
So,
any final thing you want to say before we send off here?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's getting close to the 20th anniversary of Bionicle. If, just a quick question, if they did reboot Bionicle again, would you prefer it to be more construction sets, like original, like Technic almost, or would you prefer it to be CCBS like they did for the Gen 2, or would you prefer it to be Lego brick with minifigs?
I don't really care, as long as they do something new with it instead of just reusing our old characters.
I agree. I think one thing they could do that would be really cool is if they did want to include like Tahu and Kopaka and all of them, make them Turaga, make them the elders, let them tell their story.
Yeah,
but
I know historically Bionicle in little minifigures is not the best.
True. And even with TTV's whole idea thing that they did with I think it was Brickonicle or something.
Yeah.
Called it. It was a very nifty idea, but a lot of the fans did not like it.
No. Like, I would expect it to be more CDCB, that thingy.
Yeah.
Hero Factory build.
Yeah.
That's what I would expect. But I don't know to what extent they'd use that, so really I don't really care. As long as they're thinking about it.
Yeah.
And trying something new. And they actually put effort into it this time.
Yeah.
But nothing beats original Bionicle.
True.
And that is what we have for today. So yeah, anything else you want to say here?
No, I think I'm good.
Alright. So yeah, thank you guys for listening. Thank you for joining us for 3 parts. Or just this part. If you're just listening to this part, go to the other parts.
Yeah, so that we can thank you properly.
Yes. And not half-heartedly. Whoever you are. Anyway, thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.